Hi, this is Ms. Cooper with a tutorial on the beginner basics of isometric drawing. Now, isometric drawing is when you take shapes and make them 3D, but you do it on paper that has a triangular grid. This is great because it gives you some rules when you draw so that you can do things out of your imagination and figure out a basic structure. Now, when you first grab your sheet of triangle gridded paper, because you do need this kind of grid to work off of, make sure that your lines are going vertically because you will need these. When you draw, your lines have to go up and down, and they can also go to the side to show some kind of depth, and this can also show the front of your object. So let's start with a basic cube. Let's say you are trying to draw a square, but you want to make that into a 3D cube. Well, first I'll show you a don't of isometric drawing. This is a don't. This does not follow the lines. Yes, it does have the vertical lines, but it has horizontal lines, and these are a no. We don't do horizontal. That is not part of isometric drawing. We do use verticals, and I'll show you how you do the sideways parts of the cube. So let's say our cube is a couple triangles tall. When you want to show that it goes back in space and to show the front side, you rotate it so that it goes along the grid. So this one is 1, 2, 3 triangles tall. So let's make it 1, 2, 3 triangles wide. This shows the bottom of my front side. Now let's complete the front side. So it's 3 triangles tall, so the other side will also be 3 triangles tall. So we will draw that line, and we can complete the front side by drawing the top. So that square shape has now become a rhombus because when we see something that's rotated away from us, it takes on more of that type of shape. Now let's say this cube isn't a perfect cube. Maybe it's actually a square prism and it just goes backwards into space a little bit. Let's take it back 2 triangles. So it is that deep. That means that we can now complete the height. It's again still 3 triangles tall. So we will draw from top to bottom on our vertical lines and complete the side. Now the last part is completing the top of our square prism. We can kind of see where the lines are going to crisscross, but if you don't remember, it's 2 deep and then it is 3 wide. So now we've completed our square prism. So let's label the parts in case you need a little reminder breakdown as we go. So this is the front right here. We will call this side the front. We'll call this the depth. This is how deep it is, how far back it goes into space. And then this right here is the very top. You could also call this the side, I suppose, as well. So some things that we don't do, again, we don't do horizontal lines. This doesn't make sense on an isometric grid if we draw our cube going back into space. The whole point of these lines is that it gives us some rules, and this will get very confusing later on down the road. You also have to be careful of how you draw things. So let's say we did the front correctly. It's all 3 cubes wide. It all makes sense. But we're trying to make it 3D. Well, if you extend it downwards, that becomes wrong. That becomes an issue. We don't have space here all of a sudden. Or if you just kind of don't measure far enough and you just kind of draw your lines, well, now the top has become slanted. And unless that's what you were going for, that might be a little confusing to the person viewing it. It might be hard for them to understand what's going on. So just make sure that you count very carefully how wide everything is as you go, and perhaps do it in pencil if you're not feeling entirely confident. I'm doing it in Sharpie so you can see really well in the video. All right, so now you know some of the absolute basics. In my next video, I'll talk about how to do some slightly more complicated shapes and how to include a hole in your piece. So thank you for watching. Please add questions down below if you have any. Thank you.